What's up, TA? Got Chris here with another habit hack for you. Now, if you're not already using your clothes hyper intentionally to help you accomplish your goals, then today we have a treat for you. And I'm not just talking about looking good to feel good, okay? It's more than that. Now, you may have heard me talk about the importance of what you wear before. There's some other videos I might put in here. But today, we're gonna go even deeper and explain 3 ways that you can use your clothes more intentionally toward your goals. Now, what we wear not only tells the world how to view us and others how to view us, but more importantly, it creates our personal narrative that's influencing how we operate in the world. And the good news is that this is a two-way street, okay? Our clothes influence our actions, and we get to decide what we wear and why we wear it. So our clothes can be thought of like the pens we use to write our personal narrative. And because what we wear is such a powerful lever for us behaving in certain ways, the more intentional we can be with it, the better off we're gonna be. Okay, so without further ado, let's get into the first way we can use our clothes more intentionally. Now, this is all about saving our decisions. Okay, we make thousands of decisions every single day, a lot of which are unnecessary and or trivial, meaning we don't need to make them, or they're just things that we don't actually care about, yet we're still deciding on. So I'm gonna walk you through a few ways we can make sure that doesn't happen to you when it comes to what you wear. Now, you may have heard me talk about this idea of the decision delta. So here's a quick recap from one of our other videos. Basically, it goes like this. If you think about every decision you make having little other following decisions that kind of form from this original one, the more we can decide up and kind of block that off so they're not following decisions later on, the better off we're gonna be. So our guiding question then becomes, how can I make one decision that keeps me from having to make a bunch of other decisions? And here's what that looks like for my closet. I have all black boxers from TA. And I know this isn't necessarily the time or place, but I am one of the guys who is on a quest to find the perfect underwear for whatever reason. It blew my mind that no one had kind of done this before, like made actually just amazing boxer briefs that worked, that look good, that feel good. And finally, we have an answer to that, and it is TA. So thank you all for doing that over there. Okay, back to our actual video. So now that I have 9 black boxer briefs that are all effectively the same, I never have to decide what boxer briefs I'm gonna wear, right? And before, I kind of became aware of decision fatigue and willpower's limited and all that sort of stuff that led me on this behavioral journey. I used to have a bunch of different types, like different brands, different colors. I didn't really care. It just kind of accumulated different boxers and I just wore whatever. But I didn't realize that I was making decisions on those every single day. And once I started going down the rabbit hole of human behavior, why we do what we do, how to get more out of our limited resource of willpower, it became really stinking clear that, hey, if we decide on things that we don't really care about every single day, then we should get rid of those as well as we can, right? Deciding up that decision delta. You look at people like President Obama, Mark Zuckerberg, Ariana Huffington, these people all repeat outfits because they don't want to waste their decision-making power on things that they don't really care about. And we can do this for every type of clothing, right? Socks, shoes, shirts, pants, hats, whatever. And this brings me to an important point, which I kind of just touched on. But the goal of all of this is not to get rid of every single decision or to take away your personality. The goal is to make sure that you're putting the amount of mental effort that you want to into the decisions that you care about. You don't have to get 7 of the same shirts, or shorts, or specific pants. You get to determine where that cutoff is of how much you want to actually be putting into this, okay, and how much you care about that thing. But understanding that decisions are limited and we can save some of the decisions by deciding up the decision delta, that's what we really care about, right? Because taking that approach makes other things in life easier. If I'm saving decisions in this area, that means I have now more decisions than I used to for all these other things. And it doesn't have to be limited to what you wear, right? We could do this for what we eat, the kitchenware we use, what we buy at the grocery store, all sorts of other things, other areas in life. And I have an article, an ongoing list of ways that we can save in the economy of behavior control. Okay, so if you want more on that, I'll put a link in the description. But to really drive this point home, I want to use a quick theoretical to kind of make this really, really clear. So let's say we have 1,000 decisions per day. And this is an arbitrary number because it's really hard to actually pinpoint that. And let's say we use about 15 of those on what we wear. That's 1.5%, which doesn't sound like too much, but over 50 years, if we make 15 decisions a day on what we wear, multiple decisions on boxer, sock, pant, shirt, time of day, place, after shower, before shower, like there's all these potential decisions. So let's say it's about 15. After 50 years, that's literally 250,000 decisions that we will have made revolving around our clothes. Okay, now that's a shit ton of decisions that we could be using for other things. Again, if you really care about what you wear, you love mixing and matching and like making new outfits for every specific event, cool. That's a great way to use and be more intentional about it. But if you're someone who kind of cares more about, hey, I just want decision energy available to me, then this might be a way that you can save so that you, again, live more effectively in line with your values as they relate to you. So that wraps up number one. Let's move on to number two, the second way we can use our clothes as tools, right? To help us strengthen our mentality. This is actually a little tip my brother-in-law pointed out to me. I love when, I kind of consider myself someone who's in the know a little bit about behavior, why we do what we do, how we can kind of manipulate our environment to help us behave the way we intend to, all that sort of stuff. So when I see someone who's not even in that space at all, and they have a hack or a tip or tactic that I've never thought of or heard of, it is always amazing. And so we were chatting about kind of late nights, working from home. How do we stay kind of in grind mode when it's not always that easy, right? And something he said, he's like, I just put shoes on. And that to me, and it clicked immediately because you know you're never tired in shoes, aside from maybe working out. When you're going to bed, what do? You take off your clothes, you probably have showered, you get really comfy clothes on. You probably don't even, maybe you have socks on, but you really rarely will you have shoes when you're relaxing, right? When you're trying to wind down and go to bed. So a cue that our brains use for being awake and alert are our shoes. Now, and like, especially like having standing desks, stuff like that, like keeps you more alert, keeps you more in the moment. Those things can be really helpful using and manipulating your context to help inform what you should be doing. An interesting way to look at this is clothes are almost like that in between of our bodies, our minds, and the physical environment around us. Okay, our clothes are like the translator between us and our environment, and we're really entwined with our environment. Okay, so being able to be intentional about what we're wearing is hyper important. And this kind of brings us to a sub point within this, which is looking at what you wear as a uniform. And what I mean by that is, so for me, I'll explain the way I do it, I guess. When I'm working, I'm wearing HTH. When I'm filming for HTH or Hack That Habit, I wear this specific green Mandarin color because that's kind of like my brand color, and I wear that only. If I'm filming for TA, I'm wearing TA. And I have specific shirts I wear for exercise, specific shirts I wear for going out, for social, right? So I've really kind of, decided up decision delta and thought about, in these kind of different categories of life for me, what do I want to be wearing? What's a good general thing for me to wear that I don't really have to think about again and again and again? Right? Because I don't really give a shit what I wear. Like, I like it to feel good, I like it to look good, but when it comes to that specific day, I don't really care, right? So the more similar these can all be, the better off you're going to be in terms of, again, saving those decisions. But more in line with this part, it's like, if you think about a sports team, most of you are athletes here. So whether you're still playing sports recreationally or professionally or whatever, or you think back to those days, when you put on that uniform, you really start to embody different principles, different modes of operation that are going to better help you in that current circumstance. The way that we act, the way that we behave on the field and off the field are very different. And the cue, one of the biggest cues for that, is the uniform that we wear, right? So how can you look at your life and say, okay, hey, this is me on this field or playing this sport. meaning really, really clearly. It's like, hey, if I'm relaxing, what is my uniform for relaxation? What is my uniform for working and grinding? What's my uniform for hanging out with my friends? What's my uniform for going on a date with my partner or whatever it might be? What are your categories of life, and how can you specifically wear something that will help you behave more in that way, right? It's that translation, the clothes we wear, that translation between the environment and ourselves. So how can this be a great piece of that narrative for us to help us behave the way we really want to in that context? On to number 3. And this is my favorite way to deliberately use our clothes to our advantage, okay? So we can make habits literally easier to gain if we do so deliberately and by choosing the clothes that are gonna help us do that. If you think about everything you own right now, it all has a history. It all has behaviors and examples of certain interactions or ways that you've acted in the past. It has this behavioral residue, this almost like momentum or pre-existing association that will slightly influence you to do one thing over another, right? And if you think about trying to create a new behavior, add that to your existing pool of behaviors, then it's going to be more difficult if you're trying to go against the grain, right? If hey, this gray shirt, I always feel like shit in it or whatever, and it could be below your conscious awareness. This is all to say that painting on a canvas that already has paint on it, it's gonna be a lot harder to get to that new painting that you want. So I think the better thing that we can do is use a blank canvas, right? Buy a new shirt or new shoes for running or whatever it might be, having a specific thing in mind for that. So if you wear those socks or those shoes or that shirt for this specific behavior, that new association, this blank canvas, is going to be so much easier to paint on and create a new current for you, create that new behavioral momentum, right? So being really intentional with this, and past that, it's try to keep a singular association. Okay, so if you can imagine having a shirt that is for meditation, let's say you bought a blue shirt for meditation, being very disciplined when it comes to, hey, when I meditate, I wear this, but also when I'm not meditating, I'm not wearing this shirt. If I'm wearing this shirt and doing something else, that is splitting the attachment in my mind from meditation and something else, whatever that might be, for this shirt, okay? So if you're really starting out and you've tried all these different things, maybe this is that little trick that will help you make this new behavior part of your reality, and again, get to that point of making it a habit. And I don't know your level of understanding of habits. I know we did an earlier email on this, but if you aren't really clear on what habits are, if you don't understand that they're literally the most powerful thing you can focus on, the most impactful thing in your life, then actually I won't go into it here. I've already done a bunch of that work up front, so I decided up the decision delta. So what I would suggest to you is go to our free course called Habit Hackers 101. Thousands of people have taken this and loved it. So I'm giving this to you completely free because I never want price to be the barrier for someone to be able to learn things that will really impact them and help them live their lives the way they want to. So if you have liked what I've put in this video and want to start being a little bit more deliberate, not only about what you wear, but more so about how you behave, then go ahead and check out Habit Hackers 101. I'll put a link in the description. And I hope that what we've gone over today has made your life a little bit more in line with the way you want to live it and help you live a little bit more effectively. So I will see you in there. And if not, then have a good day.